a little bit more. That way, and I'll be doing most of the talking. And that way it doesn't sound really far away. I think I've met you before. You look very familiar, so I know I've seen you before somewhere. Maybe at a show or something like that, but I'm pretty good with faces, I just don't know. I will explain a little bit about how it works. If you've seen me do shit before, you'll have a certain understanding of how it works. And it will be a little bit different just because it is in person, so I'll have the opportunity to go a little bit more in detail, a little bit more expanded information as it comes in. The way that I receive is I open up my energy and spirit people step forward. Now, as they come in, I'll speak to hear and know information and I'll give it to you in that way. So you hear me say, I'm seeing this right now, I feel this, I hear this, I know this. And all I need from you is just, yes, I understand that information, or no, I don't, just yes or no. And that yes and no is actually really important for the spirit people as well, because if I'm here at this energy level and they're coming in, they're usually oscillating to try to find the right location, the right connection. And when you say yes, it makes sense, they know they're coming in correctly, and when you say no, it doesn't, then they know they have to readjust a little bit to change their energy up. And so it really allows them, especially in the beginning, to make that really strong connection so that we're at the same energy level. And the most important thing I remember with somebody who's passed over is that just because they're passed doesn't mean they're enlightened. So it's a really important thing to remember. If somebody's passed, they have their best interest, your best interest at heart, but they're still learning and they're still growing. So just because they're passed doesn't mean that they know everything. If they were bad with money here, don't take their financial advice. Kind of like remember who they were. And if you were taking advice from them here, by all means do so, but just keep that in mind. The other thing to remember is sometimes they'll bring up some information about the future. So if you say, I'm seeing this coming or that coming, and if you don't like it for some reason or doesn't resonate with you, it doesn't mean it has to happen. It's just really an indication of this is where you're going, this is the decisions you've been making and are making, and that's the path that's leading you towards. If you don't like that path, you can absolutely make a decision to change it or alter it. Alright? It's really, really important to remember that. And I always like to ask you if there's anything that you wouldn't want to know or don't want to hear about. Anything else? No? You don't cover everything? No. Alright, good. If I come up on any topic that you don't want to speak about, just let me know. Okay? We'll move right around it and won't be a problem. Because you're coming into the session as well, you are naturally a part of it, Obviously you are here for support, but should somebody come in for you, it's better to acknowledge them rather than to think, if I don't speak up, maybe they'll go away. It doesn't really work like that. So better just to be like, that's mine, then we can give it like 2-3 minutes, move it forward, and let them step to the side. If you come in for like one specific person, that person will come through, but other times there's like people that come in before that person comes in, because once we get to that person, we won't want to leave that person. Does that make sense? Once we ask the question, we're not going anywhere else. So there are moments where there will be other people that step forward just to say hello, just to give it a quick little minute. If we're going on too long with someone that you say, I'm really not interested in that person, just let me know. It won't hurt their feelings. It's just if you're like, that's not who I was wanting to listen to or wanting to hear from. Just let me know, we'll put them to the side. So I'll just ask them, speed up your message, give me what you need to say, and they'll get the opportunity and we'll move on to the where we go. Okay. So we'll get started. Any questions before we get started? Alright. Actually, people stepping forward, I feel like the person may not be the person you want to hear from, but just let them come forward for just a moment. You still there's a grandfather who steps forward here, but he speaks of the grandmother still living or still connected to the world. Do you see that? And I notice this man steps forward here that he comes in and does recognize that he would have gotten to know you or would have gotten to connect with you in the lifetime. You see that? It's a very important person that I need to recognize. And I feel like he comes forward here as well that I do see you and I do feel that you must not get to see your grandmother all the time. You see that? That she must look farther away, or there's a sense of not getting to see her on a everyday basis. You see that? And I know that he's often around her and wanting to recognize her. It's also here with your grandfather that people do get to say their goodbyes. I do feel that. There's a sense of we acknowledge that he's not doing well, and there's very much a lead up to his passing. You see that? It feels to me like people know his physical body isn't doing well. That's my recognition. But as I speak of that, I do get the feeling here that you and some other key family members were not able to be by his side, were not able to be present. You understand that? You're not able to be there. I recognize that for him there. Okay. We don't have to go too long with your grandfather. You must not be the person you really need to speak to. You see that? But I just wanted to kind of open up the conversation, so to speak, to get the energy moving. It speaks of your mother as well that I need to recognize, okay? And keep saying my mother, so hold on. And this is actually your father's side of family, do you see that? Yeah. Understand. But your dad's still with us, you understand that? So he's also recommending you to connect to your father in the physical world. And the one last thing that I need to recognize from your grandfather is the sense that he is very much aware of the fact that your grandmother will need to be taken care of by other people, is my feeling. There is a real recognition that she will receive aid outside of the family. So it feels to me that she will go into some kind of a home or some sort of assisted living, is my feeling. And that really makes me feel like he shows me 2 years, so it feels like this is something that's under development. You understand that? And I know he's recognize that he's going to be around her and that they're making the right decisions, and that feels key important. Okay. As your grandfather was saying, mother here, I do feel that I need to connect to a mother in spirit, or is that feeling of a woman who comes in as a very motherly energy. But your mom's still here, you see this? Because they're very much seeing your mother here in the physical world. You did your path, you understand that? And because it really feels like this is your mother, not yours. I have to recognize that very much. So, for her. And I know she steps forward here that I don't feel that it's passed for too long. I really want to recognize that I'm a little bit over a year, but not much farther than that. Maybe a year, 2 months, but I'm very much feeling about that energy. And I know she said before that she doesn't come with a very loud personality. There's almost a little bit of a quietness to her that I want to recognize, which is maybe why she doesn't come for a big audience show, or she wants to recognize that she's been around you for each one of the connections that you've had to mediumship. It's supposed to be very important that she recognizes for you, because she's necessarily like a very loud personality, is my I know as she comes in, she stands next to this grandfather of yours, and I'm just going to look at her for a moment to bring her closer. As she comes in here, and it gives me that overwhelming loving feeling, I do want to recognize that you're not her only child, but there's this feeling of needing to connect to another as well. Do you see this? But this doesn't feel to be another girl. I want to talk about a brother of yours, that is very masculine. Do you see this? And I know that she recognizes being around her children is important. I also want to recognize here as she comes in that she feels in the lifetime past to really connect to you. It's almost like you guys are two peas in a pod, are very similar in character and very similar in nature, which she really needs to recognize the similarities that she sees between the two of you. And nothing against your sibling, but it feels to me here that there's just this really special bond between the connection that I feel here between your mother and you, that she needs to recognize and make reference to as well. I know she steps forward here, and I want to come up and understand over. She does remember holding somebody's hand before she passes. Do you see this? There's a feeling of holding somebody's hand, and it feels to me like right as she goes from this foot to the next, but I very much feel that there's a sense of somebody holding her hand. Do you know that? You're not sure. I know that there's a connection to that I need to recognize. And I just recognized, as she came in, she stood to my right. She usually means to me this is an accidental passing. It feels to me that there's like an accidental nature about the passing that I want to recognize, where it doesn't feel to me like she's recognizing that it was bound to happen or like had to happen. There's that real feeling of accidental. Do you understand that? And do you want me to say yes and no, because it helps them to understand that they're coming in correctly? Because she's not here for me, she's here for you, so that helps often. And I do want to also recognize that I see that people very much see somebody else to blame, or see somebody that has blame in regards to it. Do you understand that? She's very much making me feel like people would blame a certain person, or like really place blame on someone. That's my feeling. And it doesn't feel to be herself, but I just want to recognize that if somebody such a shade in here, like someone to blame, where people are kind of projecting that kind of energy on somebody else. I want to recognize here, and I just want to come a little bit closer, that she comes in, and I want to speak about her having bright eyes herself, but there is a real feeling of having kind of a lighter color in her eye color rather than them being like a dark brown. Do you see that? It just feels like I've got a lightness, almost like a green look to my eyes, where she wants to recognize that. Do you see that? It just doesn't feel brown to me. Do you understand that with her? Do you see that she didn't have brown eyes? Okay. Because I want to recognize that this is not brown color as she comes in. I want to talk about like a greenish, grayish look almost. And I also, she keeps talking about accidental, so I want to recognize that as well. I know she steps forward. I'm just going to work with her personality rods to bring her energy up, and also bring yours up just a little bit, so that we can work. Okay. She does also know you. I know that she's gotten to meet you before. You're not newly in her life. Do you see this? And I know that she's gotten to meet you often. I do feel before her passing, you guys must have lived relatively close by, or there's a sense of like you get to see her multiple times a year. You understand that? There's a sense of also recognizing that the year prior to her passing, I get the feeling of getting to see each other at least 3 times that year. Do you understand this? And I know that she remembers you, wants to connect to you, and wants to say thank you, because there's a real sense of you giving the support here that Lindsay needs. That's my feeling, and wants to thank you for that. I know she steps forward here that she's quite a optimistic, happy energy, so to speak. It just feels like that to me, that I very much want to recognize. But she does show me here that prior to her passing, in the year prior to her passing, I do feel that there's a sense of her connecting to depression or being herself. Do you understand that? And I know here that she feels very out of sorts. So it feels to me that on the other side now I'm seeing the true nature of her spirit, the true energy of who she is, and she feels very optimistic and very light, and she wants you to know that. But it feels to me here in the lifetime, I feel extremely heavy, and I know that she struggles heavily with depression. I'm also seeing here that she does turn to ways of like medicating herself or trying to kind of dull her senses. Do you see that? And I know that she also wants to recognize that she's quite sorry for that, because I feel like she's no longer herself or the mother connection that she needs to be for you in that period of time. I'm also seeing here that there must have been, I'm seeing both pills, but I'm also seeing connections to alcohol at times, but there is that feeling of like dulling the senses in other ways that I need to recognize, but she keeps showing me pills mostly. Do you understand that? And it feels to me that there's very much like self-medication happening, and needing to apologize for that. That's very, very, very important to her. It feels to me here as well in the lifetime she shows me here that before her passing she would have very much struggled with her physical body as well, where I don't see this leading to her passing directly, but it just feels like her physical body also doesn't feel right. She does have this memory of also gaining weight or not being able to get rid of. There's something about the weight that she's like very annoyed with. Do you understand that with her? There's a real sense of like not enjoying her physical body, and I need to recognize that for her as well. Let me just take a turn here. She doesn't like to talk about it. She keeps making me feel like she needs to apologize to you. I just feel that there's so much sadness, obviously, but also anger. And I know that she keeps needing to recognize that she's very, very sorry. And I know this to be very important, that you need to hear that. And need you to hear it and recognizing that she understands the consequences of her passing. So that's very important. Okay. She remembers that she was also disconnected from somebody from her immediate family, and it does feel to me here that there's a disconnect where she wasn't speaking to a certain person, or there's a real sense of friction in that family that I need to regard. Do you understand that? And it feels to me here as well that she, now that she's passed, looks back at that and understands the reasoning behind why things happened the way that they did. But she talks about a scene in her life where she disconnects from many in her life. So I feel it's not only from her immediate family, but I'm also seeing the relationship between your parents kind of taking a break or kind of disconnecting in that way as well. Do you understand that? And I know here that she it makes me feel that she never fully recovered from that. There's almost very much sense in her lifetime she wasn't able to readjust, reconnect to herself after that. Do you understand this? And I know that she's recognizing this never to have been your father's fault, because I'm seeing here that there's still perhaps a lot of blame that people will see in regards to that relationship, but it feels to me here that she as a soul wasn't able to reconnect to herself, and so she's recognizing that she does forgive everyone in that situation. But it feels to me that from that moment forward, I see a great deal of depression and trying to just check out, so to speak, and really not be here and present in the physical life and available to you. Understand? And I know she wants to say that she's sorry. I keep seeing an image of her in bed watching TV, and it feels very much so like she tried to pull herself up away from the world, and there would be moments where she doesn't get out of bed. Do you see this? And I know that she is disconnected from her soul in the physical world, and she wants to know she's no longer like that, but she's reconnected to her soul. She's like a real power within that. And so that person that she was feels almost like an empty shell at times, because her spirit feels like it's left the body, you know? And she wants you to know that she's reconnected with that spirit. She's whole. She's who she needs to be, is my feeling. I feel here as well that she wants to thank you, because I actually feel like you never walked away from her completely. Do you see this? There's a real sense of there's other people that walked away from her, but you never did. So she wants to thank you for that. You are always there. And I know that she knew that you were there, even though she wasn't able to verbalize that to you, even though she couldn't tell you that at all times. I know that she's very thankful for that. It's very, very, very important. She keeps making reference to checking out, and she keeps also showing me alcohol, so I do feel that that must have been an issue at one point. Do you see that? It just feels to me here like she uses some sort of substance to disconnect. I keep seeing that. And I know that, again, she's recognizing she doesn't need it anymore. Your grandmother from your father's side is here in the physical world, but do you see that your mother's passed with her? Do you understand that? that your grandmother not dead passed away, because I feel here as I'm speaking to your mother that your grandmother also stands behind her, and that the two are together. I do feel here that this feels very healing for the both of them, something that they often come to visit you with each other, but they come separately, so to speak. And I know this is important. It feels to me that your mother had a very difficult or maybe tumultuous relationship with her father. Do you see that? There's much more of a connection between her mother and her. And I know this is also something that gets carried over in the last time where she was needing to kind of heal from past trauma in regards to her father. And so she really wants you to know that she was carrying a lot of baggage, so to speak, in this lifetime that she's not carrying any longer. And so the true nature of who she is much more open, much more clean, much more joyous, and the ultimate expression of who she is, her and her best day. She really, really, really needs you to know that. Do you see that you yourself are quite good at drawing? Do you understand that? She keeps drawing. I want to recognize you drawing. And it feels like cartoon sorts of figures, or do you see that? And it doesn't feel like realistic necessarily. It feels almost like caricatures or cartoons of sorts. I know she wants you to continue doing that because I know you'll do something great with it. That's my feeling. And I know that there's a real sense with you at the moment that you are highly creative, highly able, and haven't fully stepped into the true power of your own ability. So she wants to push you forward with that and let you know that you are headed towards the right path. It feels to me that since your mother's passing, I also see a break in job, or like that you would have left a job, left a position. Do you understand this? There's a break in career that I see. Do you understand that? Okay. Should be you switching work, switching jobs. That's what I see. She also wants to recognize you. It feels like I just saw you put a bow on your education, so to speak. So it feels to me like that's also something that you're finishing up and that she's recognizing. But it feels like it's coming to an end if it hasn't already ended. You understand that? But she needs to congratulate you because I feel that there's something you accomplished within that, with your education, that she didn't get to see. That's my feeling. So she needs to congratulate you. That's my feeling. I feel that before her passing, she must have collected a great deal of things in her home. It just doesn't feel like the home is very clean or very organized. Do you see this? And I want to recognize almost, not quite that she's a hoarder, but it feels like that to me, where I see like things just starting to pile up. You understand? And I know that you have to go through the majority of that after her passing. You understand? And I know that she wants to recognize that she was by your side as that was going on, and that she knows that it was highly emotional, and that she wants to know that you did everything correctly, so to speak. She's very pleased with how things were managed. I know that your mother had things in her home all, like it just feels like all sorts of things, you know, like it's just like all sorts of things, and she almost smiles at it because she realizes how, to some extent, she finds it quite ridiculous, you know, all the things that she's collected, all the things that she has. That's wow. I also keep seeing your mother collecting magazines, but I just feel there were a lot of magazines. Do you understand that? Like a bunch. I keep seeing these magazines. Hold on a second. Well, maybe you'll remember it, but I'm just going to put it on the recording, but there's something about a large collection of magazines that I need to speak up, and it feels to me like it'll be important in some way. Do you see the name Sue or Susan being important with your mother? Living? And the name Tom or Thomas? Understand that at all? Okay. Sure. They come as people in the physical world, not with her. And last name feels to be connected with her on the other side. Kind of an odd name, but like Pam. Do you see that at all? This is who's passed with her. So you have to think about that. Okay, great. This might sound odd to you, but your mother also has a cat with her on the other side. I just want to recognize that. She's got a cat with her. And I do feel that there's a sense of her also taking care of animals on the other side. So I really want to recognize that sense of her really being somebody who helps animals to cross and also takes care of them for others. I know that's very important for her. When I'm looking around her here, she speaks of her mother being by her side. I know that your grandfather on the other side of your family is also there, but I do feel that she really loves your paternal grandfather. They would have gotten along quite well, but there's quite a good connection between the two of them on the other side. So even though they're not from the same family tree, so to speak, they are very much connected to each other from the other side and the people that stand around you, so to speak, that I want to recognize. It feels to me here that your mom just wants to go back to her passing for one more moment and speaks about it, that she wants you to know that it was like going to sleep, is my feeling, and wants you to know that it was quite comfortable and didn't hurt in any way. And I do recognize that it feels that there is a delay, however, in the time that she is either found or that help comes, but I feel that there's some sort of delay there. You understand this? And she doesn't want you to worry about this, and it feels to me that the delay is quite lengthy, like goes over 24 hours. Do you see that? It just feels like there's like that delay there, where she doesn't want you to worry about it. That's my feeling. It doesn't want you to worry that she's on her own, or because I keep seeing somebody holding her hand, and I really do feel like the spirit world comes in and helps her across, and it's quite sweet. Is it like 3 hours? 3 hours? She keeps saying like 3. I'm not sure. You're not sure? It's either 3 hours or 3 p.m., but I need to talk about the 3 being significant. I have to tell you, she loves you great deal. There's so much love that comes around you, and there's a real ability for her to support you in this lifetime, so she does want you to ask her for help. There does still be a rift in the energy between you and your father, but I do see a rift there that the communication is not very good. You understand that? I should sense that. That's good then. I was going to say that will be repaired, or it was going to be sold, so maybe that happened in the past and now it's coming back together. But I know she's pushing me forward with that there as well. And I know that's important. So very good, very strong on the other side, energetically wise, in terms of doing well. And it's just somebody who carries a lot of weight on her shoulders, so to speak, in the physical. It doesn't hold any of that on the spiritual side. Do you have any questions for her? I always want to remind you that my connection to her is just within a brief bit of time, and your connection to her is a soul connection, just soul, and you're going to have that forever. And any kind of question you have, any communication you want to do, it's as simple as you just asking it to her, and in your head, out loud, whatever you want to do, and that communication will come back to you in some way with the answer in some manner. And that's important. You still, okay, thank you. I feel very much so that you still have jewelry of your mother's, but she recognizes you not wearing it, or not wearing it all the time, does I want to recognize. But she also places a ring on your finger, and I do feel very much so that you do have a ring of hers that will bring her close, that will bring her connected to you, is my feeling all the time. And I also want to say here that you must, there is like almost like a hair thing or a hair clip that I need to speak of as well. Do you understand that? And she wants to place in your hair, and whenever you just have a day where you just need to be a little bit more connected to her, slide into your hair. Right? So there's ways of bringing her close. She also shows me a picture. Do you see that you recently took a picture out of the frame of hers? But it feels to me like there's a picture you were looking at in the frame that I want to say was taken out. Do you understand that? And I know that she was standing right there beside you when you did that. Alright. So she knows a little thing, so it's not hard for you to bring her in. Does that make sense? It's like all you have to do is just think of her, bring her energy into your mind, and then she'll be right there with you. Did you ever see that picture with the jet? She was like tucked in with you. And it feels to me that on that picture she is a very happy person on that picture. It's like her in a very happy place. Do you see this? And I know she wants you to say that in that happiness that she was feeling in that moment, that same sort of happiness that she has in herself. So it's very important to her. I know that she also wants you to count the stars for some reason, but she's showing you looking up at the night sky, and I feel like there'll be a special connection that you can have with her in that regard. Are you trying to have a baby at the moment? No? There's a little girl that's hanging out above you. So, something to just know. I think it'll come in the next couple of years. But it's just a soul that's like hanging out, so to speak. So, I'm waiting for people ready to enter. But you don't have children yet, correct? No. still freaking useful. Okay, wonderful. Yeah. Anything that you think of? You don't have to have anything.
Is there anyone else with my mom? Like her mom?
There's also a younger male that steps forward, but he's not directly connected. Well, he maybe connects to your mother, but it's not a direct connection. But he stands in your energy line, meaning to me that he's of your generation, so to speak, that I need to connect to. And he feels to have touched before your mother, not after. I think your mom, not on the other side yet. You see that at all? There's like he's not directly connected to your mom. He's like feels to be more connected to you. But he's of your age generation and passes before your mother. Yeah, do you see that at all? You tell me now. One second. You know, if you had a male friend who passed like 4 or 5 years ago, see that? Yeah, sure. Look into it for me. There's a guy who comes in, he's of your age generation, he's not connected to your family. Passed it up, I want to say about 4 years ago, maybe up to 5, but at least that long. It's not necessarily like with your mom on the other side, but just kind of popped up in my mind there in the background. Sometimes being like an unexpected person steps forward, but she's definitely surrounded by people. I know that your grandmother steps forward, and then look at your father's father that steps forward. There also seems to be another woman that steps in here as well, besides your mother, and I do feel them to be connected, but that actually feels like a grandmother of yours that I want to recognize. Is a grandmother in spirit of yours?
Yeah.
She comes in as another grandmother figure. She says, besides your mother, she's not your mother's mother, she comes in as another one. And this woman actually didn't have kids herself. That's my feeling. Could be an aunt of your mother's or something of that nature, but it feels like she comes in a little bit older than your mom, but she feels like she wouldn't have had children of her own. That's my energy. Okay. But there's a bunch of people there. But she comes in as really just getting at the forefront, so to speak. And the ones that really connect for me in my mind's eye here very strongly come in as your mother, your father's father, and your mother's mother will come in as like the strongest 3 that I'm aware of. Right? Anyone just particular that you're looking for that hasn't come in?
My mom's sister.
Did she not have children of her own?
No, she did.
She did. Oh, that's not her. And then she passed it before your mother? She did? And it's still well over a year before your mother. You understand that? I have to say, she steps forward. I really like her energy, but I feel like your mother didn't always see eye to eye, is my feeling. It just feels like they're very different personalities in a strong way. But they come in standing next to each other, so they're showing me like they've got good connection on the other side. They're definitely together. I'm also seeing as your aunt steps forward that she does come in quite chatty, and it's like a real like strong, talkative energy that I keep getting, and needing to recognize that. And she also speaks of the sun, so she must have had a son of her own in the lifetime. Michelle? But I see a huge, actually, I feel like there's a huge struggle with her and her health. You understand that? There's like a real struggle there that she would have endured. And they keep showing also like the cancer ribbons. That it feels to me like there's a real connection to that as well. That's the struggle. She's doing really, really well, and she comes in quite cheerful and talkative, and needs to let you know she's also around, and is actually the first person, so to speak, that with your mother, like her sister and her mother were right by her side at the time of her passing. So it very much feels to me like she was surrounded by that love. But especially her sister comes in very strongly, so in my energy. It's like being right there.
This is my mom. I'm one of my brothers and my family, and she has something she wants. Anything.
And you have an older brother as well?
Yes.
Is one of them quite tall? It's like quite a, do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
No, not at all. They're like really short and not like the opposite. Yeah, quite funny. I'm just trying to make sure I'm getting the right picture here. Do you see that one of your aunt's sons is quite tall? That's touching 6 foot?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no. What is that? Maybe the right to them. Well, in relation to your brothers, if you can remove strong thinking from your mom, because I actually see energy lines between all of your families that originate with you. So there is a real sense of you keeping people together, or like wanting people to remain together, so to speak, in communication and in energy. So there's a big thank you that goes there. But she is right. I mean, just being around everybody, I feel love there. I do feel that there's a certain amount of anger that I still see in one of your brothers, if not both, but it just feels to me like she's really recognizing that she is around them. And And one of them must actually dream about her, but she keeps talking about coming in one of her dreams quite often, that they're able to see her in that way. And that's alright. Alright, so here you go. I'm recording.